I got another reaction video coming at y'all, man. We need to talk. And this, I already seen this one, but it was a lot of stuff that the sister touched on that I wanted to speak on. So, you know what I'm saying? This is good sis. I went to school with her up at App State. Cool chick, you know what I'm saying? Didn't really hear too much foolishness, you know what I'm saying, going around campus about the sister. So that's always a good thing. And she spoke like she got some sense on there, man. So it was a good one to watch, man. But we gonna get straight into it.
Listen, it's the message right here. Black boy, tell me how you really feel. Cause I just wanna build with you. Black girl, tell me how you really feel. I wanna keep it real with you. I wanna live better, eat better. I wanna love better, sleep better. Yeah, I wanna feel so aligned.
Are you seeing the 10-year challenge?
Yes.
Are you seeing the differences between the men posting and the women posting?
I haven't seen too many men post on Facebook, but I've seen a couple. Yeah.
It's not looking too good.
What do you mean by that?
A lot of the... So, okay, let's start here. The whole idea of men age like wine, women age like milk is not an idea.
What? Who said that?
Somebody said that. But it's
They
not...
weren't talking about black women.
No, they're talking generally.
White women for sure.
So
It's mostly white
The idea
women.
is based on
they age
the
like
fact
milk,
that
for sure.
as a society we've decided that a man's beauty is in his wallet, for the most part. And we've decided that a woman's beauty is in her youth, in her fertility, in her aesthetic, beauty.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, men reach their peak earning potential around 45.
Yes.
So based on society's definition, men get more beautiful over time.
Okay.
We grow beards, it starts connecting.
Yeah.
We have a certain disposition, as we gain experiences and things like that. Whereas a lot of times, unfortunately, not only is, Mother Nature taking a toll, but also baggage. You become jaded over time. You become less agreeable. And these are things we associate with masculinity. And that's why you see men complaining that women tend to be masculine.
We need to walk in our feminine energy.
Yeah, exactly. Like unwavering, especially as they get older. So why is this guy who was, it's the swan and the duck or whatever, who was a duck back in high school or even college, but he had his head down, he was doing what he needed to do. Now he's making six figures, his beard connected, his musculature came together, and he's 32 years old. Why should he want you, 32-year-old peer, essentially? Why should that be?
Okay, this is how I feel about this situation.
Talk to me.
The trauma that we experience in any sense of the word, and like being younger in our lives, that is on us to fix as people. So if you can get over the fact that little Sally Sue hurt your feelings back in the day because she wasn't attracted to you, so now you go out here and you decide that you don't want to be with anybody and you're about to make all the rest of the women in the world pay, that is a problem that you have. That is not the woman's fault for not being attracted to you when she was younger. That is an inner self-worth problem that you didn't see. You didn't see the worth in yourself when you were younger. You only see it now that you've reached this IP, that you've reached your peak of success. So just because women weren't attracted to you back in the day, why does every woman have to pay for that now?
You missed it, sis. You missed it. It wasn't that he didn't see value in himself. It's the fact that she didn't see value in him at that time. So, especially so you gotta really think about it, you know what I'm saying? Children are cruel, you know what I'm saying? Especially, you know what I'm saying? I say 21 and under, you know what I'm saying? Very cruel, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we get into these situations in high school and early on in college where women got a little bit more attention. They have a few more options. So they bypass that good guy who might not be attractive because she didn't see the value in him, not that he didn't see the value in himself. So it's not that he, quote unquote, carrying on that trauma. It's the fact of she probably could have had a better life if she was just dealt with the person that actually wanted her at the time. If that make any sense, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, it's a level of trauma to that, but it is a bit of, you missed out though. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a huge mental health person. Like, go to therapy, been to therapy, probably need to go back to therapy at this point in my life. Like, what I've been through in the past, I go to therapy to make sure that I don't bring that into my future relationships, platonic or romantic. So, because someone hurt your feelings back in the day, why do you have to take that out on other people? So to me, if it's the same woman that didn't want you back in the day, and now she's like, oh, hey, Ada, you looking good. Like, you probably like, girl, I know what you're about.
I don't think it's about the same woman. I think it's about the same archetype.
Okay.
Right.
The girl who you knew was bad in high school or in college, now she got 2 kids and she
Right.
spend a lot.
Right.
I see this all the time though. Like, I think sometimes I just think that like women and men like live into like fairy tale worlds, because I see this all the time on Facebook. Like, is your high school crush still fine? And be all the men commenting, hell no, she ugly and fat and she got 4 kids. Like, what? Like, does that make you feel better? Like, like, are you happy that she's unsuccessful because she loved you back in the day? So I'm not saying that the man that like, oh, you need to give every single woman a chance that comes beating at your door that didn't want you back in the day. But I would like to see men like them give women a chance, because where they are now, and stop making women pay for the things that other women did. And same thing with women.
Sis. Because this is the problem, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's going back to what I was just saying. Why should he give her a chance when it was probably a dude like him before the children, before the trauma, that probably would have actually took care of her, that probably would have given her the things that she needed not to have an unsuccessful life? So it's like, why should you then watch a sister who trying to spin the block to fix her life? Because at the end of the day, that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to go back and correct the bad things that she didn't ran into. You know what I'm saying? Why should he have to do that when the value was there from the beginning? At the end of the day, the value was there. She didn't see it. So why now, after you done messed your life up, should a man take a chance on that? That's the, you know what I'm saying? It's unfair when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? It really is. Where it's like, it kind of go back to that Kevin Samuels notion, where when a high value cat catch a girl that's not all that attractive, it's because they handled their business early. They got married early because she saw the value in him early. He saw the value in her early. We don't, especially in the black community, we take too long to find our partners. You know what I'm saying? 9 times out of 10, that first person that you really could vibe with, the one you was like, I really like this person, y'all get along very well, y'all really don't have that many issues, that probably should have been your spouse. Real talk. But we don't think like that in the black community. We kind of move along the lines of, I want to, you know what I'm saying, get myself grounded first. You know what I'm saying? You want to get all this sexual experience out the way. You want to, you know what I'm saying, do all this extra stuff when you bypassing really who you should have been married to. You know what I'm saying? And that's the issue with these situations, because it's a bunch of women who are basically doing a lot of bullshit with the bad boys. Then they try to run back to the good guys later in life. That's not okay. And that happens a lot more often than women try to give credit for or try to acknowledge. But that happens all the time. All the time.
The same thing. Yeah, because I knew you were going there. Women need to do the same thing. Like, stop making other people pay for your traumas. Like, same thing with generational trauma. Like, oh, you don't want to pass it down, well, work on it. Work on it. Go fix it. Put in the conscious effort and the inner work that, and to get to where you want to be. And I'm not saying that the man or the woman, because, women grow up and we, she might have been a stick back in the day. Now she big. And now all the men want her. So it's like, it's the same thing. Like, don't take out sometimes I think we take things like a little bit too personal too, and like that's one thing that I'm really big on is like choosing your battles. Like a lot of the times how people treat you has more to do with them than it has to do with you. Like it has less to do with who you are and more so than it does to have to like it's them.
That's a fact.
That's the reason they're treating you that way. It's
I
not
can agree
you.
with that.
It's them. Like they may just be attracted to who they are, who they want, who they're attracted to, and you're just not that person. Even though you may feel like you have everything in the bag, like you may feel like, I mean, that's how I feel right now. I'm like, damn, like I'm a good ass woman. I've been single for 2 years though, like you know. So it's like, you can't hurt.
I feel like you're weaving in and out of concepts, sis. Like, I feel like you tie in multiple points together, but I'm following you though.
People hurt people, and you can't let that affect too much of how you're feeling. That's how I feel.
As a black man who is relatively conscious, as a black man who tries to be empathetic and considerate, there is, and again, I'm gonna speak for myself, maybe other black men may agree or may disagree, there is a certain level of grace that I have to initiate and maintain when dealing with a black woman. First of all, I have to make up my mind that I want a black woman. I say it all the time, black people are impossible to love unless you love black people. The decision has to start before, you try to pursue that. Because I understand, colorism took a toll on black girls, right? I understand that a Eurocentric beauty standard took a toll on black girls, right? So when I'm dealing with a black woman, I have to be conscious of these things, regardless of whether or not she has therapized her issues or she's therapizing her issues. I have to be conscious and I have to be graceful, right? The question is, do black men deserve a similar grace?
I do, that's where you're going.
And if they do, first of all, so do they deserve a similar grace? Why or why not? And do they get it or do they not get it? And why or why not?
Black men for sure deserve a similar grace. I'll even go on a limb and say they even deserve more grace. And
not to cut you off, but the reason I ask that question is a lot of times when we dialogue around that whole spinning the block concept, there seems to be dismissal and trivialization of how traumatic that was for boys, right? And it's a you problem. You need to get over it. This and that. I can't say that to black women.
Right.
You can. You should.
I don't.
Why not?
Because
is that a part of your grace?
Well, it's a part of my grace, but just from an intellectual place, I understand how much who we are as adults is shaped by those critical, years in middle school, high school. So to tell somebody, a person, not just a man or a woman, to simply just get over it, or simply you're grown now, so it's almost immoral.
Right.
Okay.
But we get that a lot.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. I think you should start telling black women, and I'm not saying in a harsh way, but more about themselves, because my friend, I wouldn't consider him a friend. This guy that we know, he clocked me earlier this year, and last year, 2021. It hurt me so bad.
Clocked you?
He told me, okay, so I went through, oh Lord, I hope you don't see this. I went through a rough breakup, April 2020. Went through that. That's when I started going back to therapy, just figuring out who I was. I was in a relationship for 4 years and it ended very abruptly, beginning of the pandemic. So it was January of 2021 and he was just like, he told me, he was like, you act like a hurt black woman. And I said, I was pissed. I was livid. I was like, I have done all this work on myself and and how could you say that to me? Like, you're an asshole. I can't believe you would say that. You just said that to hurt my feelings. And then we fell out. We didn't talk after that. And and I happened to have a guy I was hanging out with at the time. You know,
Sneakily.
I wouldn't even call it that. he was alright. And so I actually was like, this is the first person that I had started hanging out with post-relationship, post-breakup. So I asked him, I said, do I operate like a hurt black woman? And he was like, yeah. He was like, you do, but I can understand why you act like that because of what you've been through. That really took me back. Like, I couldn't believe that they had said that to me because in my mind I was like, what do you mean I act like that? Like, I've been to therapy, I've done all these projects, I've done all this processing, I've done all this reading, I've done everything I can. I didn't date for a year, you know, how am I still acting like a hurt black woman? But after a couple months, I realized I was acting like that and I was hurt.
I gotta speak on that because this is something I had to really speak to my wife about because it's like, especially to black women, most of the time when you tell them something about themselves, if they don't feel like what you're saying is true, they're gonna take it as an attack, like you trying to emotionally abuse them. But it's like she just said, she was like, how you gonna tell me that when I know I did this, and this, and to fix that? But it's like, you don't experience you the way other people experience you. So it's like, I put it the way Christ said it. He said, you should know them by their fruits. So imagine you know what I'm saying, you putting in all this work, you going to therapy, you doing all this stuff, right? But to the outside world, you don't have no evidence that you're doing any of this shit. You don't have no fruits to show that you're going to therapy. You have no fruits to show that you're not that same person you used to be. You got a couple hours of therapy under your belt. So it's like, it's one of them things where as black men in our culture, we done got so used to telling black men that what they say don't matter, or that what they feel and what they think don't have no credence, that most of the time they try to swipe that shit under the rug. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just trying to abuse me. You being emotionally abusive, mentally abusive. When it's like, no, I'm telling you what I'm experiencing from you. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times they don't want to hear that shit. I'm gonna say it again. Christ said it the best way possible. You shall know them by their fruits. Their fruits being your actions. How I'm experiencing you is gonna prove who you are. So all the stuff you was putting in, if the people around you don't get to experience it, it's like you never did it, man. It's like, it is what it is.
I was projecting that on to other people, and if he would have never told me that, I probably would still be out here acting like, you know, for lack of a better word, a bitch. Like, because I'm internalizing that hurt, and I'm not seeing it because I thought I had put the work in, but other people are seeing it. So I think you need to be more honest with black women, and I'm not saying that you have to say it in a way that's like, you're a bitch. But, you know, you can say, like, I think you have some things you need to work on, and that's okay, in my opinion. I forgot your question.
No. Let's
now, if he called you a bitch, he was going too far, but...
So, the majority of our audience right now is men. You know, I'm trying to make it more 50-50, but, you know, this is where the ministry is, okay? So, with that being said, you're going to... Not only are you going to, but I've already seen a lot of men, 50-year-old men, say that even during the times when I showed grace, even during the times when I confronted these things, whether I did it in a way that was empathetic and kind, or whether I did it in a way that was abrasive, the general sentiment amongst not just black women, but women in general, is one of which, you go girl, black girl magic, you can do no wrong, can't nobody tell you shit.
Right.
So criticism isn't received at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Not even well at all.
Yeah.
Right? So what advice do you have to give to these men in light of the fact that what you're saying sounds good on paper, it doesn't work.
Your emotional intelligence has to be high enough to know the woman that you're talking to and like your audience. If a man in the comments on this video when it gets posted tells me that I'm fucked up and I have problems and all this shit, I don't give a fuck about what he says because he doesn't know who I am. But if you are with a person that you care about, platonic or romantic, and you see things that need to work on and you understand how to communicate with them effectively, you should try to communicate with them effectively in the best possible way that you know how. My best friend and I, we communicate very differently.
I gotta speak on that right quick. And this is, I had to learn this over the years of being married. So, okay, it took me a little minute to understand this. But once it clicked, I started getting way better results in my household. Okay, so I'm watching the class, right? He going over how, he's basically breaking down how men were created in the image of God. So he was going into how men shouldn't be going back and forth with their wives. You know what I'm saying? It's a way that you're supposed to speak. Your voice, the way you talk, the words that you choose is godly. So when you read Genesis, they talk about he created all these things with his, you know what I'm saying? Let there be light. And it was. He was commanding things. So the way he spoke got things done. So he was explaining how the way you speak to your wife gonna do more than some men feel like putting their hands on a woman or being manipulative, you know what I'm saying? But he was explaining to us and breaking it down to us how your voice gonna get you a lot further with your wife than all these other tactics that dudes be trying to teach people. And it's crazy that that's what she just said, because that's the truth, period, point blank. It is what it is. You can say the most truthful shit ever. It can be A1, 100% the truth. If you don't know how your wife operate, it ain't gonna work, bro. It's not gonna work, bro. And I had to learn over time. My wife don't respond to me going camp mode. My wife don't respond to me speaking ultra loud, right? Okay, so I had to switch it up to where I'm not screaming, but I'm still speaking in a stern voice. I'm speaking very low, very calm. So I might come in and be like, okay, I'm trying not to fuss at you, but I told you A, B, and C. I gave you a day or two to do that. You know what I'm saying? I've been giving you a little space to get it done. You know, I haven't been over you like a hawk or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But I see that you struggling in this area. I'm gonna give you a little grace. Get these things done. But I'm just letting you know that I'm seeing these things. I need you to do them. You get what I'm saying? Where it's like, I'm not super loud, I'm not rah-rah, I'm not all up in her face, but I'm explaining to her what I'm seeing. I'm explaining to her how I'm experiencing it. I'm explaining to her how it's making the house move. And she respond better to that. It's not that I'm not correcting her, but I had to figure out a better way to do it because I wasn't getting the results that I needed in my household. So what she's saying is correct. You have to figure it out. Some women might respond well to you being loud. Some women might respond well to you writing them a letter or writing it down on a piece of paper. Some women might respond to you speaking in a lower tone. You got to figure it out, but don't be manipulative. Don't put your hands on them. You got to use your mouth, man. At the end of the day, of effective communication, it might take a little minute for you to learn it, but that's God talk right there. At the end of the day, however you want to slice it, that's God talk right there. The Most High got things done with his mouth. It is what it is.
And she used to tell me that some of the things that I would say to her would hurt her feelings a lot. It made me think about the way that I had to communicate with her and be better about my communication with her. So I would consciously not, hurt her feelings because I don't want my best friend to feel like I hurt her feelings. So when you have the type of relationship that you understand how to communicate effectively with those people because you care about them and you build that sense of trust, I think you should approach the situation like that. Just kind of figure out what's the best way to get it across. Now, how that person receives it, that's not your problem, honestly. Like, that's not your issue anymore. Because
if it's your wife, it is.
Yeah.
If it's your daughter, it is. If it's your mom, it is.
To a certain extent.
And I like that he jumped in with that, because especially as a leader of a household, you know what I'm saying, it's your job to protect the spirits that's in your household. So you can't be carrying yourself in a way where you breaking their spirits at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So you do have to, I don't want to say cater how you speaking, but at the same time, it kind of is. Like the scriptures tell you, Paul, he knew how to, he had his tongue seasoned with salt, that he know how to answer every man. So it's like each person in your household probably gonna have to be talked to differently. So you gonna have to learn how to prepare that meal for each person in your household, especially as a father, especially as a husband. If you lead in your household, you gonna have to learn how to speak. Period, point blank. If you a man and you trying to get married, you want to be married, you want to have children, you gonna have to learn how to talk, bro. It is what it is. It is what it is. So once you get that formula down, and that you know how to get your point across with some tact, we know how to get your point across without breaking their spirit. How they receive it is really on them, because you done put it in a way, you chose your words wisely, that you got your message out with no left hand, no right hand stuff. It was straight down the middle. You wasn't being derogatory, you wasn't being degrading, none of that. They just got to deal with what you said. Either they gonna fix it or they ain't. In my house, you got to fix it. Ain't no not fixing it. So I'm glad that he put that in there, you know what I'm saying? Because as a man, you got to tailor how you speaking to people. You got to. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. But like, now this is probably a bad analogy, because I go back to, like, I think Will and Jada. I think Will said something about, like, you can't control her happiness. If she's unhappy with herself or unhappy with other things that are going on in the world, I can only contribute to that so much. So if you don't receive what I'm saying to you, when I'm coming from the best place possible, and I'm trying to help you, and I'm not saying with any, malintent, but you still take it like that, that's a very personal issue. Like, in my opinion.
So, I want you to answer that question a different way, in the sense that, I'm a 28-year-old black male.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, we the same age.
For my whole life, I've been told all the ways, whether it's from society, other men or women, all the ways that I need to be a better man.
That's a fact.
And in turn, in the same breath, all the ways that I'm inherently insufficient as a man. So I want you to answer the question from the perspective of, what can the female delegation do better to further this conversation?
I mean, it's kind of like what you said before. Like, we have to be more. You guys, a lot of black men feel that we cannot take criticism at all. So we have to work on being more receptive to people telling us things that we may not 100% agree with. And that's a part of life, whether it's coming from your boss or your husband. Like,
this was she kind of this is one of them things where it's funny because a lot of black women probably would have said that same thing. And I don't like, maybe she did learn that lesson, you know what I'm saying? Because even in her own testimony, you know what I'm saying, just giving her story a little bit earlier about the guy that she was with, they had a nasty breakup in 2020, you know what I'm saying, because he told her she was moving like a bitter black woman or a hurt black woman, right? So he critiqued you and the relationship ended, right? Then you ask your next friend, you know what I'm saying, the next person that you came in contact with. Obviously, it was still on your brain because you asked him. So you probably still think about what he told you. You asked him and he said the same thing. So it's like, imagine if you just received what he said to you the first time and asked for understanding on why he think that, instead of destroying the relationship, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know the ins and outs of what happened. Just off of the story that she just told, it sounded like they might have been having a heated argument, or they was, you know what I'm saying, it was getting a little riled up, and he told her something that he probably had been thinking for the whole time, but he had been just sitting there taking it. Then he actually told her how he actually felt. Most of the time in the black community, they downplay what we see. Like they feel like we can't, like we have no discernment, you know what I'm saying? Like they come at us like we don't actually understand or know what the fuck we talking about. So it's almost like one of them things like, who are you to critique me? Who are you to tell me what I'm doing wrong? You know what I'm saying? Because they've been fed this story that black men are like children at the end of the day. Like we don't know what's going on in society. But most of the time it's gonna be men that's keeping it real with you though. You know what I'm saying? So I found it kind of funny because one, she didn't really answer the brother question, you know what I'm saying? And I found that it's funny to me when this question is asked to women, or like what do they feel like it's some issues that black women can correct. They struggle answering that question. That blows my mind, because I don't feel like black women or black men would have an issue saying what the issues of black men are. But for some reason, black women have an issue just saying what their problems are. Let's be real, sis. Black women don't have no issue getting critiqued by their boss. Black women have an issue being critiqued by black men, period. It is what it is. A white man tell you that you was acting like a bitter black woman, you would have ate that. Well, I don't know. She probably would have beat his ass. I don't know. I think she pro-black. But in most situations, outside of this sister right here, they would have ate that. They would have asked him, well, why do you feel like that? What am I doing to make you say that? But we don't get that same respect. We don't get that same level of, okay, damn, he might see something in me. He might, you know what I'm saying? We don't get that. So I just thought that was, you know what I'm saying, interesting for her to do that, especially considering the fact that she had her own situation where the relationship ended because he critiqued her, and the very next guy told her the same thing. That blows my mind, because that could have been a sustained relationship. You know, that could have been a black family started. But it is what it is, man.
There's no 100% happiness, 100% positivity, 100%.
You know, I'm gonna stop the video right there, man. We done watched just about the whole joint, man. But I really want y'all to let me know what y'all think in the comments, man, because this was a good conversation. It really was. And I feel like she spoke well. And she said a lot of truth. And I know, especially that part about being able to effectively communicate. A lot of men don't want to hear that shit. They don't. They do not want to hear that shit. But you can't get around it, man. All throughout that Bible, it tell you just how powerful your tongue is. It's life and death is in the power of the tongue. You got the ability to build somebody up and tear them down with your mouth. So it's one of them things where you have to learn that. Period. You can't get around that. I don't care what you into. You can look at sports, you can look at business, you can look at whatever. The places that really have the best environments to work and thrive in are the areas that they are building up the people that's there. The best football teams, they got great coaches. What they doing? They speaking life into their team. We can do this. They building up each position group. They feel like they can get it done. Why? Because they coaches instilled that in them. You go to different given work environments. Usually the jobs with the high turnover rates got poor leadership. It is what it is. It's the same thing in a household. You can't tear your house down as a man because you don't know how to control your goddamn mouth. It is what it is. A lot of men don't want to hear that shit, but it is what it is. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. I know this was a long video, man, but if y'all still here after this, hey, man, y'all ride with it, man. But I'm out, man.